y'all are live.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Yo What's Poppin', presented by 810 News Media Group. I am so excited tonight because I have Fourth Ward Councilwoman Judy Priestly with me. Hello, Miss Judy. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you? Glad I could be here.
I'm great. I thank you again. I thank you so much for coming on and joining us and having a little tete-a-tete, to get to know each other a little bit, right? I
Yeah,
haven't really been able to meet you, but I'm going to get down to one of the council meetings so we can meet in person,
yeah.
so I can say hello and we can officially meet.
It's pretty quiet down there sometimes. Well, in the audience or in the whatever you want to call them. Oh
I,
my.
Not on the panel so much, though, huh?
Some people just like to hear themselves talk, and it's not
You
necessary.
know, it happens. It happens. You guys got a lot going on, right?
We do.
Yeah.
It's budget
So, Miss
season.
Judy, can you tell me, just give us a little bit about yourself for those of us that don't know you very much? Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're willing to share with us.
Well, I was born in Flint, right next door. Well, I wasn't born next door, but I came home from the hospital, the house next door, right on the other side
Okay.
of that window. This
Okay.
was my grandmother's house, and we lived here until I was 6. We moved to the north end on Marja
Oh, okay.
until I was just short of 18. I graduated from Northwestern in 76. Went to Lake Superior State University for a bachelor's in accounting, and moved when my I always wanted my grandmother's house, and so when
Mm,
she was selling it, I bought it, and I've been here for
okay.
over 30 years.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. What made you decide to want to run for city council?
It was a combination of things. One of them was that the dysfunction on the city council, and I
Mm,
knew that my opponent and the first ward councilman did not get along. And I always try to be a peacemaker, and I don't want to create a lot of um, friction. And I always try to
okay.
work it out between people. And I thought maybe I could be of a difference. And so I have my own business, and one of my clients um, says you're going to run and you're going to go, and so I did.
Okay. How was that? How was that? Where were you thinking? Did you think like, yeah, I can do this, or were you like,
I was thinking there's no way I was going to win.
really?
And as I was going through the neighborhoods and knocking on doors, because I knocked on 500 doors, I think, during the
Okay.
primary. And then I turned around and I did those plus a couple hundred more in the for
Okay.
the general election.
Mhm.
The sense was that they wanted to change, and
Yeah.
they felt that I was the better candidate. So I went,
Okay.
okay, I'm going to win this thing. Okay,
Yeah.
gear up.
Yeah. Wow. So, um, will you run again?
Huh? Will I run again?
Now that you
Maybe.
now that you've gone through that, will you run again?
Maybe. We've
Okay.
got 5 years. It's 4.5 years.
Okay.
It depends on where I am in my life in 4.5 years.
I got you.
Because I'm
So
not a younger person.
understood. So what have you learned from being on council now that you didn't know then that maybe would have made you like, I don't know if this is for me. What is there something that you have learned that have made you think like that?
I pretty much knew. I've got lots of friends who've been on councils and the county commissioners and stuff. And so I pretty much knew what I was in for. Um,
Okay.
what I did find out is that I can't work my full-time job full-time and do council.
Mm, okay.
There's just no way. So
Okay.
I took a leave of absence so I could get caught up on some stuff for the council. And I go
Okay.
back on Monday, and instead of working 40 hours, I think I'm going to be working 30
Okay.
because you're just not available to take the phone calls from your constituents, and so I just have to make some changes. so that I
Yeah.
can better serve my constituents, because they chose to have me be their representative, and they have to be my priority. Although the other job
So
pays me a lot better.
I listen, I'm up for, I understand that. So what is it that you would like to see happen in your ward? Let's start with your ward. What is it that you would like going forward? What are you working on to see happen in your ward?
Some of the things I'm working on right now is getting more money. Fourth Ward has been neglected financially from the city for years and years and years and years and years. So I've
Mhm.
got a couple of things that I'm thinking about and working on. Like one of the things, the one of the first people I spoke to when I was gathering signatures was, what about the kids? Where do they have to play? And you think about it, there's a little park in my neighborhood. There's Potter School. Kersley Park isn't even really in my ward right now. It might be after the ward boundaries. I'm not sure exactly where that falls. I think that's in the third ward. But
Mhm.
there's not much for the kids. So I want to take some of this land bank property that after the houses are demolished, maybe put a basketball court on them. I'm thinking breaking up if you think about the ward being separated between Dort Highway and Davison Road, and there are four quadrants. So why not have something in each one of those quadrants for the kids?
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of land bank, how do you feel about land bank? Is land bank an issue in your area?
I think the fact is that they just don't have the manpower to take care of, maintain the homes. Some of There are definite issues in my area, especially west of Dort Highway. I mean, it's so sad. And
Mhm.
I'm just glad we're able to give them the money to get some of those houses done. But some of those houses aren't even owned by the land bank yet. So those
Mm.
houses won't be down. I don't know where the businesses that are burnt out on Davison Road, I don't know who owns those because I haven't been able to figure out the address so I could check on their website. But I just think they're underfunded to do what they need to do and to be able to take care of all the properties that they own.
I have a question for you as it relates to buildings like that. And you saying that you don't know what the addresses are. What are the channels that someone would go through that? So what if there is a business, a blighted business that has been, down for a long time. They don't necessarily know the address, but they're interested in maybe purchasing it or renting it or whatever the heck the person is doing with it. What do we need to do in order to find those things out and to go forward and maybe buying it and to renovate it?
Well, I did this with my sister the other day, but I never have my computer with me. Um,
Okay.
I actually pulled up her street, and we knew that the house she was questioning was three houses down. And on Google Maps, if you get really close, you can see the buildings and their addresses. So if you zoom in,
Um,
and so we were able to figure out which house she was questioning by that.
got it. Okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay.
And then
So,
you can look it up on the city's website to see who owns it.
mm, very good. Okay. So, in your ward, you would like to see those houses down, some maybe parks or some things for the children there. So, as for the city as a whole, what would you like to see going forward? Where is your vision for the city? What do you have in plan for the city as a whole?
I think after we get rid of some, we if first of all, the city council has to be able to work together and get over the hump of, most of us do work together, and we work together well, but we need businesses here in order to grow this city, to improve the life of our residents. We need businesses here with jobs.
Yeah.
And that's what I see. And people don't want to come to Flint because the council fights and it takes forever to get things through. There was a guy who lost a ton of money because the council couldn't get their act together.
Absolutely. Also, there is I know at the last ARPA funds meeting, I was there and I had spoken and I was saying, I would love to be back in the city of Flint, but there's also a housing issue. What what are the plans, or what do you see, or what would be your plans in fixing that housing issue? Because there's definitely a housing issue. If I wanted to come, and have a nice, because I live in a pretty nice house. I don't want to go and have to put in $100,000 worth of work just to, be back in the city and help be a part of the city, right? There is
Right.
definitely a housing issue. What do you propose to happen with that?
Well, I'm hoping that some of these land bank properties that aren't going to be torn down can be renovated as projects for kids to learn the skills. But there's not enough of those to make a difference, I think, in the amount of housing that we have available. There's not enough. So then you've got to think about, where will the money come from to build affordable housing? Because I know in my neighborhood, this was built up, even though my house was originally built in 27, the subdivision that built up around this house was built in 1953. 2-bedroom houses, 800 square feet. It was the starter homes for the people coming back from Korea in World War II. My understanding is that those houses cannot be built in the city anymore because they're too small. So
oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
We need to have some kind of more flexibility in what the city code requires for housing, because you can't always afford to build. I mean, the price that it would cost to build 1,000 square foot house, 1,200 square foot house, you couldn't, in the city of Flint, you can't sell the house for what it costs to build.
So what if, have we been thinking about maybe even partnering with HUD?
I'm sure that's what will happen in the future. But our council is so new, we haven't been able to get there yet. Allie Herkenroder is really into housing. She used to be an employee of the Housing Commission. And for me, I go, here, Allie, that's your project,
Understood. I understand when you in a lane, you have to stay in it. I get it.
It's not that we have to stay in the lane. It's just that that's her big thing. And that's good because we have our own little interests. And so that we can, and specialties. Like mine is, I'm an accountant. Nobody asked at our budget hearing yesterday about the money. Nobody asked. We had one hearing yesterday with the chief, and nobody sat there and looked at the numbers and said, so what's covered under this? Where are grant dollars falling into your employees? We don't know.
So, why aren't those questions being asked, Judy? Hi, Kitty. Why aren't those questions being asked?
Jasmine. I don't know. I think some of it is that they just don't have the necessary knowledge, and they're so new that they're not used to that. Eric Mays did ask some questions about that, but he was leaning towards taking ARPA dollars, and I did too. And like, he wants to use ARPA dollars to pay for wages and salaries, which we can't do. And so they've got equipment budget in there, and let's take some ARPA dollars and throw it at it. Let's see what other dollars we can use to increase the amount of money that we can get. And I just think people might not have had a clue of what we need to look at and question for budgets. I mean, I've written budgets, I've prepared budgets, I've done grants,
Did you bring it up last night? Did you personally bring it up? The funding, those questions. Did you bring those questions up?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But I didn't get answers.
Okay. Who owes you those answers?
Well, I would have thought that the chief could have given me those answers, because it was the police department. And and I also thought that the CFO was going to be there, and he was not.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you a little background. I'm asking you these questions because I literally like I want to watch it and I want to come down, but they're like they're so long, and I say this all the time and people don't believe me. I got a little touch of ADD and I can't, I can't I listen, I'm just honest with you. I got a little touch of ADD. I can't sit there that long. So, I might catch a little bit, miss a little bit, catch a little bit, miss a little bit. So I ask a lot of questions. So that's the reason why I ask this. I can't.
well,
I
I tell you,
know.
my coworker of mine who lives in, because I work for a national company, and my coworker is in Arkansas. And I says, oh, I got a council meeting. I says, if you want enjoyment, you can listen to it on YouTube. And he's sending me texts throughout it. He goes, oh, Lordy. He's going, oh, my God.
I got a little touch of ADD. I can't sit there. So the CFO wasn't present at the meeting?
No, not yesterday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so what are you guys going to do going forward in order to get those answers? How are we demanding those answers?
Well, I'm going to take the administration, the mayor's office, I think is Monday. And they better have their crap together. But I think the questions that I answered might have given them a clue as to what I'm looking for. But if not, I'm going to definitely be sending after Monday's meeting, because I go back to work. I'm going to, if the answers aren't given to me, then I will copy the mayor and the city administrator and the CFO, say, hey, you know what? You're asking us to make these decisions and we don't have the answers. We haven't even discussed the budget status with the expenditures to date. Number one is that I have been asking since day one, when they give us that answer, the reports, I want to know how much budget should have been spent to date. So let's say this is, it's July, it's April. How many months is that? 10 months.
10 months. Okay.
10 months. So give me 10 12ths or 5/5 or 5/6, excuse me, of the budget with the expenditures and a variance. How much are we off from what our budget is to our expenditures? We aren't given that information. If I want it, they finally gave me it in an Excel spreadsheet so I could do it in Excel. But frankly, the police department has 10 cost centers or so. I don't know exactly. I didn't count them. And in their budget that they presented us, it's all rolled up into one. And it's only the general fund. It doesn't include any grant funds. So I don't know where we are financially. And nobody's asked the questions. And frankly, we haven't had time to even go through that because we get into the weeds. We're supposed to be policy. We're not supposed to be getting in the weeds. And some of the questions that are asked are not necessarily something that we need to get involved in. That's more the administration function, not the policymaker. Yeah, we have to oversee the budget, but if we're not given that data and able to discuss it with the administration, how can we get those answers to make good decisions?
So where do you go from there? If you can't get any communication with the administration and where do we go from there? How do we bridge the gap? How do they propose that you bridge the gap then?
Well, this is something that I haven't really addressed with my fellow council people. A couple people here and there I've said, the lengthiness of our meetings has to come to a stop. All the details, all of the same questions being asked. You send stuff back to committee and that you're asking the same questions. How many times do we have to discuss a funding request? They've got the data. Didn't you read it? It's like when we make a resolution to send, when we make a motion to send stuff to council from a committee, because that's where the action happens. We do all the hard work. We learn about the thing in committee.
Okay.
All right. So for example, there was a payment. I think was the fourth payment on the lease of vehicles for the police department. Somebody separated it to ask questions. If they'd read the documentation, they would have said it's the fourth and final payment of this lease, and here's the resolution that authorized the lease in the beginning. And that was all included in the paperwork that they gave us. So some people are not doing their homework and reviewing the documentation. There's been times when I haven't looked at everything in the packet. I just ran out of time for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, that's great that you are accountable for yourself to say that, hey, listen, I haven't read everything in the packet before. I've been guilty of that. What is attendance an issue?
There has been some times when people have been gone, and it wasn't for me to answer as to where they are or where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Unavoidable things. People leaving the meeting early. There's no reason our meeting should be going till 9:00 at night. No reason. Absolutely none.
Yeah.
Maybe committees at times, depending on your committee load, but there's no reason why we should have our meetings going past 9:00.
So is excessive absences an issue?
Knowing what I know, absences for a whole meeting, no.
Okay.
Although there is one council member who wanted to have our listening sessions, didn't show up to any. That was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I missed one because I had a previous family engagement at my home.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it on YouTube the next day.
Yeah. I do agree. Not only because I have ADD, but I got that little touch of ADD. But I do agree that council meetings, they should be. It should be a boom, 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 and out. Right. I don't feel like they should go to 9, 10, 2, 3 in the morning. Right. It should be one of those things because it turns into like not only one full-time job but 3 full-time jobs, right?
It
So you're
does.
spending a lot of time doing that. And I agree that not um, being well versed in your packets or whatever it is that's being sent to you to go over is um I get it. Things come up and sometimes you're not ready to go, and you haven't read everything because things come up or whatever. However, I don't think that should be the narrative all the time to make
Right.
these council meetings so lengthy, right? And because really it because really when people start looking at this and they tune in and look at it, and it's like watching a reality show. It's really
It is
like,
a reality show. It's my reality.
oh my gosh, I know, right? But then like sometimes, and it's like it's your reality, but then it's like 17 other people's nightmare. They're like, oh Lord, this, you know what I'm saying? This can't be right. And
Well,
so that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, what is going on?
well, part of the things is certain people like to talk. And there are ways to talk and get to the point. And I think if you watch, I don't tend, not that I don't always do it, but I've got my question. I come up with a question as I'm thinking, as I'm listening to other people talk, I might have a question that I want it expanded on. Okay, I'm done.
Mhm.
2 minutes, I'm done. You don't have to take your whole 5 minutes and then on the second round of talking, take up another 5 minutes.
Understood.
I mean, because and you don't always need to ask a question. You don't need to, because sometimes I think you just want to listen to your talk. You just want to hear your voice. And it's not just one person, it's others. you know. And if that might come more with experience, because I think that there's some of that there, and some of it is I think they don't know exactly what our role is,
Mm.
you know.
Okay. That's very interesting that you said that. Do you think that in order to go into this position, when you do that, that is something that should be known? Like you should have, when you say, okay, I'm going to run for city council, right? You get your signatures, your petitions, or whatever it is that you have to do in order to do this. I'm not sure of the logistics of
Yeah,
it,
you
but
have to
whatever
get.
you have to do to it, right? And then you turn it in and they say, okay, are you sure you want to do this? Here are the roles and responsibilities. Is there some is that a thing? Is there a thing that says these are your roles and responsibilities? Why?
Nope.
Why not?
Well, I don't know if it's the city clerk's responsibility to put that together. I would think that would possibly come from uh some community group, you know. There's nothing, as far as I know, like that for the state or for the county commissioners or for Congress. I mean, I know people who've run for all those positions, and as far as I know, there's none. Um, you know, if if you sit there and you watch like the hearings on TV, you watch the Senate hearings, the House Rep hearings. You know, some of them, it's a partisan thing. You know, and you can see where they're coming from in their questions because it's the partisanship.
Okay.
On city council, there should be none of that. You always have your views and your belief systems that will guide your questions, but you're not playing Republicans off of Democrats like they do in those hearings. So get your questions and figure out what your questions are, get to the point, ask your question, get the response, and move on.
Do you think though that there should be some type of, I don't know, something in place, some type of packet, a one pager, or a QR code that you can scan,
It
you
would be,
know,
that would be
something.
great if you could
Yeah,
sit
to
there
say
and say, this is the
these are
role of
your
the
roles
city
and
council.
responsibilities. This is how you're supposed to conduct a meeting, because I've noticed that, with some of the, the virgins to the council, for lack of a better word, that are there, they're not understanding, and they don't, and so that makes it even more lengthy, right? Because then somebody has to say, okay, well, listen, hey, that's not how you do this. You have to do it this way and this way and this way. And then I've noticed that people get upset when they're being corrected, and hey, but this is how you got to do it, and they get upset, right? So wouldn't it behoove us to have a one pager, a little packet, a QR code, a smoke signal, Harry Potter's owl? I don't know, something to
Hedwig,
say
and
this
about
is
that
what we got
killed.
to do. Something. Do you think that should be a thing,
Well,
Councilwoman?
we didn't get any training at all until February.
Mm, okay.
And my understanding is that someone didn't feel that we needed it.
Was
And
everybody present? Was everybody present to the training?
all of the new ones,
Okay.
everybody knew.
Okay.
There were um, Mr. Mays was there, and the rest of the other six of us were there.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but it wasn't as in depth as what I would have liked. It was put on, we had the morning session was with department heads, but
Mhm.
we didn't get a handout. So we didn't get a hand, I think we got one flow chart that showed who answered to whom. Otherwise, we got really not much. We got more from in the Michigan Municipal League than we did from the administration as to who reports to what. Although that is in our budget, we didn't get that until we got the budget.
So how do we correct this, Councilwoman? So if we want to be proactive and not reactive, and we are wanting to pass the baton to the younger people, and we want them to be able to be ready to step into these positions, how do we correct that? What do we do going forward? How do we correct that?
I think we need the training earlier in this going, you won your election. Okay, now here, instead of saying, here's the council rules, which we were given the incorrect rules to begin with. All right, so let's go through them. This is how how meeting is run, and go through them, and then go to the charter and say, per the charter, these are your responsibilities, and this is how you do it.
Okay. So if you do that, will that be something that will be, do you propose that as something that's written down, like I said, to be handed out? Because how does this training go forward to bring even children up now? Like, how do we make this feasible for people for us junior high and high school children that we want to groom up to take these seats, to be able to run the city and do things with the city? What do we do? How do we move?
When I was a kid, we had civics.
Yeah.
We learned how government operated. They don't have that anymore. They're not taught that.
No.
There's so many things that we were taught when I was a kid that are no longer taught. It's something that is needed. And if we could bring something back like that, because they learn about so much in that class. I thought it was boring at the time, but I learned so much. And where in college do you even get that? Well, I didn't take any poli-sci classes.
Well, if one of these, I don't know who's ever listening and watching, if one of these nonprofit groups got a budget together and got a curriculum together in order to do that and brought it to council, would that be something that you would vote yes for a program to do that?
It depends. If it was for school, if it was for schools, that would have to go to the school board.
No, like just a nonprofit group, maybe.
Oh, a nonprofit. Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be an idea. Something to discuss. Yeah.
Because I just feel like these classes need to be back. So, people that are watching this that are really follow the school board and are going to these school board meetings, those are the things that you need to bring up when you go to those school board meetings. I don't particularly have a child that's in the Flint School District. So, however, I do advocate fully for it, and I would definitely be on board for it. But these are some of the things that some of these, people should be doing with that, and even I just feel like, even asking, some of you council people to even come and, give us 15 minutes or 20 minutes during the class, to talk about it, to speak about it, just something, because we are at the point now to where Flint can't last another 10 years like this.
No,
we're not going to last another 10 years like this. Unfortunately, we're not. And if we can't get it together at this seat at the table with these 9 people, because I've said this like several times. So we are Flint. We love Flint. We're advocating for Flint. And if you want something in the 4th ward and I am the 7th ward council person, I should be all for it as long as it makes sense, right? Because you're saying, hey, exactly. I got all this black, I got all these things, I need that cleaned up, I need these houses torn down, and I should be able to say, damn it, Judy, you're right. I vote yes, right? No matter if it's for my ward or not. And the same goes to me. You see that but it's so much craziness that's going on. It's not like that. It's it seems very clicked up, right? And you got these over here and these over here, and then these over here that's gonna say, we'll be the society, or we're gonna abstain, or we're gonna just not do it right, and it's just all over the place. And then so now everybody's pissed off, and it just seems like a big pissing contest.
I don't think so much that the council is like that, or at least this council so far.
Okay.
I I see that we're willing to work together to work for the city. And you do see people doing votes that they don't agree with, yes or no, but not that it's not going to help the entire city. Now, it's like the Miller Road water project, okay? It doesn't just affect the 8th ward, because it actually affects everybody, because we end up paying for it. My thing about it, and I'm still not in favor of spending those monies at this point in time, but we had no choice. I initially voted no, but I knew we had the votes to pass it.
Okay.
Okay, so I initially voted no because I wanted more. I want the. I don't like these last minute things. Throw it. Oh, we got to have it by Monday. Your sense, just because you procrastinated doesn't mean that it needs to. You can't procrastinate on some of these things. And this water main on Miller Road, it is an option that we can pay for it with ARPA dollars, but that's money now that we can't use and say, hey, we've got $1.9 million here that we can put in of our money towards a project that we're going to ask you for $3 million more. So we took that money and now it's gone. We can't increase it at all. It's gone. Does that make sense? Why I voted that way? But I didn't. But it actually was for the whole city. But that was my reasoning, and that was Miss Herkenroder's reasoning as well. Is that we need to have that money available to leverage. There's no rush. Just because we got $47 million in May, let me tell you, 75 to 90% of the municipalities in this state has spent nothing. Nothing. Okay. Detroit is the only one with a plan, as far as I know, at this point.
What? So,
okay,
how do you feel about building up the north side?
I grew up in the north side. I think the north side
absolutely. Yeah, that's what made me ask you, because you said you grew up on the north side. What do you feel about that? What would be your plans for the north side?
It's so hard to know now. When I drive down, we need housing.
Most definitely.
There's only so much we can use, like with where's any money going to come from? That's the big thing. Where's the money going to come from? Are we going to keep knocking on the Mount Foundation store and saying, hey, we need millions of dollars to do this. Can you help us? We can't keep doing that. No. So that's my big thing. HUD dollars. Yeah, we got some of those. We can add them to some ARPA dollars, whatever. There's a lot. We need businesses back in there. The guy I dated in high school, his family had a little corner grocery store. They had a meat counter with lunch meat, and they did their own cutting of the steaks and stuff like that. Hey, I want a steak this thick, and that's gone. We need businesses there to build up the economy.
And how are we going to get them back? How are we going to get them back, Miss Judy? What are we going to do?
That's
because I feel like that. Like there's some places like I see on the north side, and I'm like, like I would be if there was some places to even do it at, because like some of the buildings have been so worn down and torn down or on fire, you know, and all of this, and they've been standing up for so long. It's like it doesn't even make sense to even try to renovate it or whatever, right? However, even if you try to buy it, or it is so, the amount of money that they want for it is ungodly, right? And you're
Right.
like, how am I supposed to pay for that? If you want me
Right.
to bring a business here and start a business, how am I supposed to do that? I don't understand why there's not more programs in place for people to renovate these buildings and start businesses. Like if you put this in place and say, hey, I got this program that you go through. You go through this, and this for these buildings here, and there's a program that you got to go through in order to get some funding to help you start a business, or to build up the north side. Has anybody even thought about doing some type of programming like that? With
I
this
don't
ARPA
know.
fund money,
Well,
because
all right. And that kind of stuff on ARPA funds, actually, when I met with the administration and our compliance firm, Ernst & Young, last week, we talked about what could be done for economic development. But
okay,
what I feel that the council's role at this point is to let them, what we discovered is that our listening sessions and what they came up with from the administration's listening sessions, the priorities are the same. The priorities are the same. Blight, economic development, police. Those are the big thing.
so what do I do, Judy? If I want to start a business and I want one of these buildings, but I don't have the $300,000 they want for this ran down building. What do I do? What am I what am I supposed to do? How do I go about doing that? Give me some insight.
One of the things that they're talking about, what we discussed, is maybe a revolving loan fund, where we have the dollars we can lend you at a reduced price, but these are all talking points to start with. It's a starting place. But we don't have enough of our ARPA dollars, because we could easily use all of our money for blight. We could use all of our money for police. We could use all of our money for economic development. Each one of those could easily use $100 million. So at what dollar amount are we going to put into this? Is this actually going to be feasible? How is it going to be operating? What kind of money can we add to it so that we can offer a bigger pot of pie? So if somebody wants to open a store, a tailor, anything, so that they can do that, how can we help them? And it's just in the beginning phase. We haven't had this money before.
Yeah.
And so I think we just need some time to really work those out.
When was the deadline, or when is the deadline for those ARPA fund apps? When is the deadline for them?
We don't have anything set yet. There's no deadline because there's no process set yet.
Oh, so people can still bring those up to, where's that, on the third floor?
Yeah, they can bring it to us, but I would recommend that they wait until we have a process in place. And then they don't have to, because whatever they bring to us, when there's the process in place, they have to do that process anyways.
Okay.
But it gives them the opportunity at this point. They're going to have to submit a budget. One of the things is that there's been some individuals who want money to do things. Some of those aren't going to be able to be done. Just because of the reporting requirements. They can't meet those reporting requirements. And one of the problems is that these are federal dollars.
Okay.
And some of the requirements are stringent, and we have to meet those requirements.
So there's a couple questions in here I just want to ask. So one is from Becky Brown, and she said, "You're an accountant. Why haven't you asked these questions?"
Which specific questions?
I'm not really sure. I'm maybe about the budget and all of those things. Maybe I'm not really sure. Becky, if you could give us a little bit more information, I'll relay that back to her. Caleb asked, Councilwoman Priestley, what is your economic plan for Flint?
Oh, my economic plan is, I personally don't have a plan.
Okay.
Um, there's such a need out there. I don't even know where to start. I'm relying on those people who have the expertise. My expertise is in the accounting, the planning of that, of how you're going to do the economic development. Those are entrepreneurs. I guess I am one because I have my own business, but it's very, I do taxes and some bookkeeping on the side. But my plan for Flint, I feel my role on council is just to watch the money and to try to get people to get along. Maybe I'll develop that as time goes on, but we're still really new and I'm still finding my feet. But I'm trying to watch the money and where we're spending it. And we're just, my questions, a lot of the questions that I have, I send to the administration by email or talk to them in person. And especially in the regards to the budget. I can't tell you how many times that I've discussed that with the CFO.
Well, with oh no, go. Did you have something else? I'm so sorry. I
No,
didn't
you're
mean to
fine.
cut you off. So are you working on a plan? Are you working like on a plan, like going for it? Because like you said, you got 5 years. So I get it. You don't have a plan like right at the second, but are you working on a plan?
I've
Is there
got
something that you
in my mind. It's percolating, but written down, hard, concrete plan. I don't have one yet. And I think that's something that needs to be developed in conjunction with administration. Just because I have one, it has to be more than a one-person plan. And I think
agree?
I think that there are people who are more knowledgeable in the economic development side of it to do that better than I can. I don't feel that that necessarily is my gift.
But shouldn't you have like a plan, especially like for uh just to have representation from your ward, and what you would like to see? Shouldn't you have one as well, though, to have some of the things that you like, or even some of your thoughts be brought to the table?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I that some of my thoughts will be developed over time because, like I said, I mean, I feel this is an area that I am lacking is that economic vision for the fourth ward. I want the neighborhoods to be safe. I want place for the kids to be active so that they're not into trouble. I want the blight, environmental as well as structural blight cleaned up. And I think if we do that, then I think more businesses would be willing to come into that area. But you sit there and you look at right now, we're still shrinking in business wise down to our 80,000 residents from the 200,000 when I was a kid. And I think that we have to work on that kind of situation. People don't want to come to Flint. So my thing is let's make the city a better place by cleaning up the city and getting the council to work together so we can encourage economic development. Right now, with the council at odds, there's no reason why I would want to bring a business into the city.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I know of a business that wants to build on Richfield Road. They're going to put $1 million into it. And the planning commission turned down their zoning request.
Yikes. What do we do? What do we do about that? What do we do?
Well,
why is that even a thing, Miss Judy? I don't even get that. We want the city to be better. We want to see it prosper. We want to see this. Why is that a thing? What is the deal?
I actually have right here, right here from Imagine Flint. Whoops, go this way. The planning, the master plan. And
Oh.
it's like, I have trouble understanding it. I've read through parts of it and I go, okay, so this is our plan, but where are we putting things? Where are lines going to be? This business that wants to go in, I remember from when I was a kid, this being an active plaza. There's nothing there now. And they turned down the minimal rezoning request and $1 million investment that would clean that area up. It put something there rather than empty buildings of stores. I mean, it's storefronts right now that are empty. And I don't even remember the last time there was a store in there. There was
So
some
who
business
runs that?
there 30 years
Who
ago,
runs
but
that?
they're gone now.
Oh, yeah. So who runs that zoning commission? Who holds the power to say yay or nay?
Well, it's the zoning, it's the planning and zoning commission. I mean, there's appointed people on that, and they will the zoning requests, rezoning requests go to those people. And then they have a hearing on those on those requests. Now I know that this is going to be coming to council, and I am pushing for it to be approved because I want investment in my ward. It's one of the things I ran on was bringing investment into our ward.
So does council appoint these people to the zoning commission?
Yep, and they have specific terms. And
oh shit, it sounds like we need to revamp the zoning commission, huh?
Yeah, but I try to get people to volunteer for those things. I've got several things. I think I need somebody on the ethics and accountability board.
You can appoint me. You want to appoint me?
You have to live in my ward.
You got a house over there. Listen, at this point, I'm ready to move anywhere in Flint because listen to me. This is craziness. Sheesh. Oh, all right. So you have to volunteer to be a part of that, to be appointed to that.
Yep. Right. And the ethics and accountability board really, I'm wondering what the purpose is necessarily.
So for the zoning commission, you can appoint someone to that?
I don't have an opening right now. But okay. Because they have they're appointed for so long of a term. And I think my appointment, the appointment that's there, I think is up in 2024.
Are there any openings on that?
I do have a couple. I'd have to check my email.
No, on the but on
on that committee, I don't know.
Okay, how do we find out?
It may be on the city's website. If not, then I think the city clerk knows those, or the administration, or Suzanne Wilcox in planning. See, those are some of the things that I'm still learning about. Who has that information? Where do we go?
All right. So let's
so much to learn so fast. You're thrown into the deep end, and I'm still finding.
Yeah, I think that's another thing of why you can't, like, some of those seats are empty or some of those people don't, because where they gonna come from? Who lives there? Where they gonna live at to even be there, right?
Right.
I would love to do that. I just don't live in the city limits.
Yep. And you're appointed by, you have to live in the ward for which you are for the council person that you are.
Right. Absolutely. So you all listening and watching and tuning in, if you live in those wards, hey, go talk to your council person. See which ones of those are open and get appointed into these. And let's shake it up. Let's shake up the snow globe. We need something different. We got to do something different. And in order to do that, we got to put different people there. So, Miss Judy, you will be very much open to someone coming to you to have a seat at the table on some of these positions that you have open?
Absolutely. I just have not had the opportunity. I spend more time on my phone doing my email and stuff rather than on my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And having my laptop gives me a better option, like to copy and paste. Hey, need people, somebody for this. But I don't have a lot of people liking my page on Facebook either. There's not a lot of people there. I found that the Fourth Ward residents aren't as engaged as other communities, other wards are.
Understood. Well, I have liked the page, so you put something up there. And you got some openings and stuff like that. I'll share it for you. I have liked the page, just so you know. But because I tell people all the time when they come in that like I'm Switzerland. I don't have, I can't lean one way or the other because I don't live in the city. So I'm Switzerland. However, I love the city of Flint. I grew up in actually the city of Flint. My grandmother lived on Baltimore until the day she passed away at 752 East Baltimore. And I spent a lot of my life over there, and I still have family there. So of course I am always advocating for Flint and everything Flint. And I would like to see the big city brought back. I would like to come back to the city. It's not like I didn't live in the city. I did. However, things just got so crazy there in the water situation, and I couldn't. I had young children at the time, and it just wasn't, and I just couldn't at the time. And so, I moved out of the city, but I would like to be back in the city. I would like to, be able to have a different seat at the table, but as it relates to right now, I'm fine with, talking to you all, pushing out the facts and giving people what they need to hear, because we don't really have an outlet for that, right? Because sometimes, ABC 12 can be biased, 25 can be biased, some of these other things and I'm not. You come speak in peace. I let everybody make the decisions that they need to make, right? And I think that's how it should be. But I would love to be able to sit at the table too. But we have to get it built back up, and we have to have some housing for some of these people to do that in order to be there, right?
Right. There's not that many in my neighborhood. The vacant houses are really, like, I have a house that the back end out exploded out of it, across the street and down a couple of houses. It was interesting. The people moved out the day that let's see, I drove by them. They were moving out. That was like at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. I woke up the next morning and my neighbor goes, "Didn't you hear the explosion? The back end of their house blew up."
Interesting.
Interesting, huh?
Very much so. Wow.
So, but almost every other house that is inhabitable has people in it. There's people living there.
Yeah. And we have to get to the point to where we can rehab these houses, houses, or even the vacant lots, be able to have the zoning commission approve for someone to even break ground to build something else there.
Exactly. And I don't know the housing or the lot size limit now for building a house, but my understanding is that the current lots in the east side, or at least in my neighborhood, which is off Center and Davison Roads, that their lots, they could not build on a lot today.
So in essence, you would have to buy two lots in order to build on it.
Yep. Now, this is my understanding.
Because those houses were so small.
Yep. It may or may not be true, but my understanding is that the size of the lots that they built on in 1953 would not be allowed to build on now, because the houses would, like, the setbacks from the property lines aren't there. And I actually am lucky because I have a double lot.
Oh, you have the lot on the other side of you? Okay.
Well, the way the house was built, my house was here in 1927.
Okay.
It predates most of the houses in my neighborhood.
Understood.
So this is East Lawn 204 and 205 or something like that. And so on the property that I have, they would have built 2 houses back in the early
Um,
50s.
got it. Got it.
Actually, my
Okay.
grandparents owned the lot next door and they sold it at some point. I don't know what all happened. It was before my day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
So, and that's one of the things. I mean, now there's been discussion about tiny homes
Hmm.
possibly built. I mean, that has come up, but
Oh, for tiny homes on those lots that
on
can't
some
get
lots.
a.
But can you? I mean, right now they're not legal to have in the city because they're too small.
Now we got to make a decision. Now, hell, we got to listen. If the lot too small or the tiny house, we got to make a decision. What we gonna do? We gonna put a house there? We got something. Got to shake, right?
I think they have a place in Detroit where they have tiny homes for homeless vets,
Yeah.
and that would be that. Wouldn't that be a great situation? They could have their own kitchen
Yeah.
and bathroom. You know, like the trailer park on Averill Road that the land bank now owns the property, and I think it's supposed to stay a park. But that's how many trailer parks do we have in the city that need to be totally redone?
Man.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
um, I know that my niece's father lives in one where the water's not being paid for and everything, and it's a huge park. We could put a nice little tiny home community in there.
Where do we make that? What do we do to make that legal?
I
Who?
guess it all comes down to ordinances, and I don't know how it affects state law. I don't know how any of that works out. That would have, that's something that could be discussed with the planning commission or the building
So
inspector.
is that something that you plan on bringing up?
It's
To.
something that's going to come up.
All right.
At what
Okay.
point, I don't know yet, because we're still trying to catch up on the backlog, but we are getting the business of the city done. As of right now, I think we only have one or two things recurring on our committees, and then everything else has been completed. So, and I just saw a notice come through.
Yeah,
Um,
Chris Caleb said, so why doesn't the council change the ordinances to have the new homes built? To have new
I,
homes.
this is something that's just been discussed, and I don't know if anything's been done by a specific council person or not. There's all kinds of ordinance. I've discussed with the city attorney several times about different ordinances that need to be changed or corrected, and I don't know if it's an ordinance or in the building code, which I guess would be an ordinance as well. So I haven't dealt with any of the building code stuff. Like there's been several questions on the East Side Facebook pages about chickens. Okay, well, the chicken ordinance that we have seems to be um, contradictory. So I said, let's work on the chicken ordinance, and then we find out the state law supersedes our ordinance. So,
What's the chicken ordinance? Are
well,
you allowed to have just a certain amount of chickens?
well, in the animal ordinance, you're allowed 3 total cats and dogs combined.
All
3
right.
total. I won't tell you that I had 7 dogs and 2 cats at one point, but
Oh my.
um, so I don't know what that, and I haven't looked at it that close to find out if we are only allowed to have 3 chickens. But then it says chickens aren't allowed in the residential neighborhoods zoning. And then it says if you have chickens, this is the amount of space you have to have.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I thought, well, you know what? Let's clean that language up. And Attorney Kim goes, well, I think that's been superseded by state law. He says, let me check. And he says, yeah, it's an outdoor dated ordinance. Well, then we need to do something to fix it. So, like I said, there's a list starting of things that need to change. Hey, what about, I saw something on one of the Facebook groups local about bonfires. That might
Mm,
have been on the East Side one too. And it's like, since I have a fire pit in my backyard that I haven't used
yeah.
in a year when I found out that it was not legal. And it's like, oh, but there's a loophole. Have hot dogs because you can cook over an open fire. So if you have a
Okay.
bonfire, so what I want, and I emailed the chief, the fire chief, and I said, hey, let's do some, let's, maybe we can work together on fixing that so that we can have legal bonfires where you're not wasting your manpower hours on somebody having a small fire pit in the backyard with a fire. You know, let's see if we can't make it so that we're not wasting city resources because somebody complains because you have one. You know, so there's a lot of different ordinances that need to be fixed. And the housing is definitely one of them. And I think that would be something that Allie would be more knowledgeable in helping do something with that.
Well, maybe she would be open to come and speak with me as well. So I don't know Allie either. So maybe she'd be open to come and speak with
She
me as well.
loves this stuff, so I'm sure she would be glad to. And she's
All right,
very
well then,
into it.
okay, well, Miss Judy, put in a good word for me. I'm gonna try to come down there and talk to her, but put in a good word for me. So maybe she can come and we can talk to us as well. I would love to have that conversation about housing with her.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she knows more about the housing than I do.
All right.
You
Okay,
know?
so we are nearing the end. So
Okay.
I always ask these these questions of everybody it leaves on. What are your top 3 action items that you would like to work on going forward to push the city forward? What are your top 3 action items?
Well, my top one is the finances. Oh, my
All right.
battery's running low.
Oh
Oh,
no.
well, it had come unplugged. Okay.
Oh.
My top thing is the finances. And in order to do that, I have to have good reports. And I'm not getting those from the city.
Okay.
Because if you can't work on your finances, it all comes down to the money. Okay. It all comes down to the money. And number 2, I want to make city government more accessible. Where do you go? Just like, I don't know where to go for everything yet. I mean, and I'm supposed to know it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is the blight.
Okay.
You know, I've met with Harletta in the blight department. It was a wonderful conversation. And I said, what do you need? What do you need to be successful? It was very interesting. I learned a lot in that hour that I had with her that I didn't know from that department.
Okay.
I think it needs to be restructured.
All right. Okay.
How's that for an answer?
Hey, listen, I am all for everything that's going to push Flint forward to be in a better place because like I said, Flint will not last another 10 years like this. So if
I
we
think
can't
it'll last. I just think that we're going to lose a lot more. We can't afford to lose another 20,000 people in 10 years.
And if it continues to go like this, Miss Judy, I can honestly say that I think that it'd be more than 20,000 that we lose.
You know, I sit there and I think about when I was in high school, there was 500 in my graduating classes. And there was 4 high schools.
Yeah.
Now there's 3,000 students in the entire city.
Yeah.
That's the youth. That's the people who stay here. They're not going to stay here. Yeah. Not unless they're trapped, and we don't want them trapped.
Yeah.
You know, my high school was bigger than my university because I went to the smallest university in the state.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you. Is the water a concern for you at all?
It is. It is a concern. Although I think that we've made great strides. I personally have not had any water problems, except, you know, all the smell and the stink and the discoloration when we were using the Flint water. But I never had any lead issues. But my sister did. And I know
Okay.
that she feels that she has lasting health problems. She is dealing with health issues now that she didn't have prior.
Okay.
So I think there is definitely a problem there. And I don't know of any kids who have been physically affected by the lead in my family, but I know they're out there. And so it does concern me. And I'm, I want to make sure that the question is how do we get confidence back in our water system?
Mm-hmm.
I think changing Detroit water helped a little bit, but there's still a lot of concerns.
Okay.
And so personally, wasn't affected, but I know so many other people who were.
Okay. So Brenda Boy has a little gripe with me. She says I never ask her questions that she puts up here. And sometimes when she asks, I just want to put this out there. It's not that I don't see your questions and I ask, but sometimes it's not in relation to where the conversation is going and how it's flowing. However, I did see it. And sometimes it's just like, eh. So, but I will ask her question. Her question was, did you and Allie know each other before council?
No, I didn't know anybody.
Ella?
I met Dennis before.
Okay.
I met Dennis, but only over the phone.
Okay.
And that was because we have a mutual friend.
Okay. So, Miss Brenda, I was not ignoring you or your question. The conversation was just flowing where it was flowing. And so I could have slid it, but it didn't slide. But
I'll tell you, I talked to Tanya a lot. I'm going to teach her how to can this summer.
She told me that. She told me that too. Yes, she did.
Yep.
She told me that.
And
Yes.
and I sit there and I'm talking to Liddell as I'm getting my nails done.
Okay.
You know? So and I'm calling Quincy and he goes, I didn't do it. Because I'll call him like, Quincy, you gotta settle down. You can't let them needle you. Let it go.
Well, you know what? Thank you for saying that because damn it, please, you got to tell him. Reel it in, Quincy. Settle down. Settle down.
He's got such a heart. He's got such a heart for the city and he cares so much. He's having trouble thinking more because we're the legislatures, not activists. And they're different roles and he's got to find his way. And that's going to take time. But he's got to, because it's being done deliberately to him and he lets it get to him. You know, we talk about Liddell and I are each going to have dowels on either side of him, poke him if he, so he doesn't.
Yeah. Well, Miss Judy, I'm gonna be honest. I think some poking of the bear is not only to him, but it's the some a lot of people like to poke Eric too. So I'm gonna call a spade out there. Like
we did have fun getting him point of order and point of information when we get going. It's
oh my Lord.
Twice he said he's 64. And since he's younger than me, I object.
I think that sometimes we have to be mindful that our passion can be thrown over into the disrespect realm because there's a fine line. Passion turns into disrespect, right? When we're so passionate about it to where we just feel like our head is gonna blow off. And sometimes we have to find that line to make sure that we don't cross over it, right? Because passion gets misconstrued. And sometimes passion gets misconstrued as disrespectful too. So everybody has to find that fine line. But sometimes he's reacting and not thinking, well, he's just reacting, right?
And they have a history.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yep, they have a history.
But like you said, he has to find that the balance between activist and council person. He has to find the balance. And so because I said that like on the last time I was on and I said he has the potential to be a very great council person. He's got to find the balance, though. He's got to know when not to throw the tantrum and just settle down and find the balance. He has to find the balance. And
I
so,
know.
yeah. But if you two get the two dials and poke him and bring him down, settle him down, maybe that'll work.
And Eric has the potential to be so good.
Oh,
So
Quincy is out here.
interesting.
Hello, Quincy. How are you?
And
nice to see you, sir.
I say it to your face, don't you?
But listen, I'm that person. There's nothing that I will say behind your back that I won't say to your face. And I invited Quincy here as well, to speak and to let him talk and to have his views. Whatever. The invitation is still open, Quincy. I would love to have you on as well. And I do. And I said it last time. I said it again, and I'll say it again. I really think that he has the potential to be a great council person if he can find the balance. And that's it.
He's growing. He's growing. We're all growing. We're all learning.
Absolutely.
And the thing is let me address the elephant in the room.
Go for it.
And that's Eric.
Okay.
He has the potential to be a great council person.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it before, and I've used the exact words. He has the ability to be brilliant. He had the potential to be a brilliant president, but he gets in his own way. He's smart. And I don't know. And it's how do we get around Eric is basically where we're at now. And how do we rein him in.
What do you mean? How do we get around Eric? What do you mean by that?
How do we rein him in for all of his points of order and his point of information? We thought that if one of my friends, who's a very experienced legislator, I always say that wrong. I said, what do you think about this? And he says, well, he couldn't use point of order or point of information. Well, he did on other people. So that didn't necessarily work. They thought that might help move the meetings along. But he knows the rules and he can follow the rules. But we've learned a lot of the rules since we've been in it in order to deal with the behavior.
So I have a question. Do you think that if, because my little touch of ADD, right. So do you think that in the time that you have the council meetings, when you start talking about council meetings, if it could stay on topic and not go so much to, Eric and what Eric is doing, because a lot of council, when I'm sitting on it, I'm just like, can we move past this, please? Like, what is the big deal? Because I see it and I'm like, why are we focused so much on that? Or why are we focused so much on him? Or the same as Quincy, and I said, why are we focused so much on him? Why are we so, if we don't focus so much on these people and we move forward with the business, what do you see that? Because I'm just like, I don't understand. Why we focus so much on it and don't move forward?
I think part of it is that some people like to take their time and they're just they don't stay on topic. They get off the topic. And when you try to call them back and say you're not being germane to the point of order, and then you got all this time. And every time you call point of order and they appeal the ruling of the chair, and if they get a second, and heaven forbid somebody seconds it, and then you've got 90 minutes more gone because you got 9 council people, 5 minutes each, 2 rounds, 90 minutes.
Okay.
Right. So that's why it's just those things should not be going on, period. We should be out of our meetings at 9:00. We should be out of
I
our
agree.
meetings.
I would like to be able to watch one until 9 o'clock when I don't get, because if you watch me, I'm twisted in this chair many times. I got that little touch of ADD. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm kind of moving around too. My couch, I really need to get that couch delivered.
Let's go look for you a new couch. We can talk a little bit
Well, I've
more.
got
We
a
can go
couch.
look
It's
for
on
you.
order. It just needs.
Oh, you're just waiting on it.
Well, it's here. It's just that
Oh,
with dogs and with the mud, I didn't want my new couch in my house yet.
I feel it. Okay, I got you.
You know?
I got
I
you.
mean, the dogs are up on the couch. No, not on my new couch. You're all wet and you're all muddy. Get off. Get off.
I get it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Judy, this has been a pleasure. Hopefully we can do it again. We'll get some other stuff going on and we can talk about some other things. And
Yeah.
As things move forward, we can talk a little bit more, right, about some of the other things that's going
Yeah.
on. But today I wanted to just come on and get to know you a little bit. Just talk so we can build a rapport with each other. So now when we see each other, we have some more dialogue and some, hey, Judy, how you doing? That type of thing, right?
Right.
That's what I want. Yeah. So hopefully Quincy was on here. Hopefully Quincy Murphy will do the same. And Allie Hokenroller, I would love to meet them and talk with them as well, especially with the housing with her.
Yeah, she's definitely better. And Quincy, he's been working with the land bank for a long time. He's good with
definitely
that.
I would like to talk with him about that. Yes.
Yeah. And for me, it was like I've always been about the money and getting people to get along. I mean, Quincy at one time, Quincy's listening to me. He said this himself. I said, how many times have I called you and talked to you about not reacting? He goes, too many. Don't want to answer your call anymore. And I love Quincy. I even brought him cookies on yesterday.
Aww. Well, that was sweet. So do you have any parting words for the people that are watching and the constituents of Flint and your ward and everybody else? Do you have any parting words for us?
Hey, I just want to be the best I can, and I'm listening to everybody, all the suggestions that are sent to me. Just reach out. I'm here. Evenings are better. And I'm going to throw in a personal thing.
Go for it.
Mark your calendars, May 1st, 3:00, Mayfair Bible Church on Pearson Road. The Flint Symphonic Wind Ensemble will be premiering a piece celebrating the 200 years of Flint. It's a brand new, it was commissioned by the band, and it starts back with the Indians and goes in. It's got some really cool Indian sounding music at the beginning, goes up into when the French voyagers were here, and into the 20th century, into the current year. And it's celebrating Flint. And I play flute in the band. So
is that right?
Yep.
Oh,
Tuesday nights, do not call me during the season. I am not answering my phone. I am not available. Don't ask me to do anything Tuesday nights. I have band practice. That is my time. Too bad.
And this is gonna happen on May 1st.
May 1st at 3:00 at Mayfair Bible Church.
Okay, so will you be posting that? Will you put that on the page?
I will be. Yep.
Okay, make sure you do that so I can share it, and it's a reminder for me.
Yep. May 1st.
Or even reach out to me and send it to me and remind me so I can make sure that I say that. Okay, that's so cool. All right.
Yep. And
you didn't even tell us you played the flute in the beginning. Miss Judy, you holding out on us.
I play violin too.
Do you really? I cut my nails for some lessons. You see my nails? These are my nails. I will cut my nails to learn how to play the violin.
I haven't had a manicure in years, but I had lost a nail. And so I thought, okay, I need to get this taken care of a little bit. So I got it done last week, and my nails are just about too long for playing violin right now.
I will cut them to get some lessons. You tell me when. I will cut them. You see these? I will cut them.
I started at Brownell, 4th grade, learning violin.
Oh man, yeah. So I'm gonna reach out and I will cut them for some lessons.
But those are pretty. I couldn't wear them,
but I would cut them for some lessons. They'll grow back. There's nothing. It's just like hair. I cut that too. It'll grow back. It's just hair.
That's right. It will.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Judy, it was definitely a pleasure to get to know you. I appreciate you coming on and speaking with me. I appreciate it so much. I look forward to speaking with you again and maybe even working with you on some things going forward in the city. I'll definitely make sure that I reach out to you on anything that maybe I need your help in, or some questions, or and then we can do this again later on, right?
No problem.
I appreciate you so much.
As long as it's not on a Tuesday night.
It will not be. I'll make sure it's not on a Tuesday night during band practice. I promise. And it won't be on May 1st.
No.
Yep, okay, I got that. All right. So everybody, how much I advocate for mental health, and I just want you all to, if you have something that is bothering you, go see somebody. That I am an advocate of that. There is no shame in having to talk to somebody to work those things out. If you have to take some time to reset and recharge, you do that. If you have to step away from social media or friends and family just to get yourself together, make sure you do that and take care of you. Love on you, because what's better than you? Absolutely nothing. Thank you so much for tuning in to Yo What's Poppin' at 810 News Media Group. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share, like, subscribe, and come see us again next Friday. I appreciate you all. Thank you again, Judy. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Of course. Good night.